What is up, everybody? Louis back here again for a very exciting, potentially violent night of fights. UFC 292 for the championship, the 135-pound bantamweight men's title, the most prestigious weight class in this sport. That's what I think anyway. My favorite weight class. You got a ton of movement in this weight class. You got 3 bantamweight fights on the main card. Should be a fun night. You got Aljamain Sterling, the Funk Master, the Backpack, taking on Sugar Sean O'Malley, the number 2 contender in the world. Henry Cejudo got in the way, but this was a highly anticipated matchup we've all been waiting for. A classic striker versus grappler. A lot of hype going to Sean O'Malley. A lot of big potential for Aljamain Sterling wanting to bump up and get the featherweight title. We'll see what happens. Should be fun. Could be violent. Could end early. Then in the co-main event for the women's strawweight title, 115 pounds, you got Zhang Weili taking on number 5 contender Amanda Lemos. I think that fight is definitely going to be violent. I'm excited. Strawweight got interesting with the addition of Tatiana Suarez, so this is a big fight. And then you got GARRY taking on Neil Magny, number 13 versus number 11 at welterweight. Is Neil Magny still that guy? Is GARRY the next Conor McGregor? We're going to find out. And then at bantamweight, you got 2 up-and-comers, Mario Bautista taking on Damone Blackshear. Damone Blackshear coming off a week's notice. You got to respect that. Both guys trying to get into the rankings. I think this is going to be a great fight as well. And then you got Marlon Chito Vera trying to bounce back against Pedro Munhoz. 2 of the mainstays of the bantamweight division. Big fight for either guy. Marlon Vera trying to get back on track, possibly getting into title contention, and Pedro Munhoz looking to get another win to revive his career. Should be fun. Should be violent. Let's get... Oh, you got Chris Weidman making his return against Brad Tavares. I mean... Fun night. Could be a lot of great storylines. Let's get right into it. First fight of the night at women's flyweight, 125 pounds. Karine Silva taking on Maria MOROZ. Karine took on Ketlin Souza her last fight. In the first round, she gets a body lock lift off of the fence right into half guard. And then she pulls to the front headlock, and she's looking for the Darce. Can't get it though, but then she pulls the straight ankle lock and gets a submission. Just goes right to it. She's nasty. She's dangerous. She broke her ankle. Before that, she took on Poliana Botelho in the first round. She's looking for some jabs and some body kicks. But she kind of gets touched with a little bit, some lead lefts whenever she's walking forward. But then she's able to land a lunge right hook, and then she's able to transition right to the body lock, right into half guard. Some nasty ground and pound. She's able to pull the Darce from the front headlock position, get the submission. Just goes right for it. So yeah, she's nasty. She's violent. She knows how to submit people. Then Maria MOROZ took on Jennifer Maia her last fight. Tough one. Jennifer Maia, mainstay of the division, but in the first round, she kind of slides. She slides into some straight shots, and then she gets pressed with the 1-2. She cannot find her rhythm this round at all. Then she's able to eat a counter. She eats a counter right off of her jab, though. Just kind of going in willy-nilly, leaving her head exposed, and then she gets clinched up to the fence. Then in the second round, she eats an overhand and some straight combos whenever she's stepping in with her hands low for whatever reason. And then she gets clipped with an uppercut as well. But then she eats an overhand right whenever she's loading up her left hook. She's taking too long to throw it, but then she eats an overhand. But then she's able to touch her with a straight flurry, finally gets going, finally wakes up. And then in the third round, she rocks her right away with the right cross counter off of her overhand, so she might be looking for that. Then she's able to land a left uppercut to the body and then a right hook up stop to the head. And then she's able to land a step in 1-2, but then she gets countered with a straight shot, just kind of overstepping whenever she throws. But then she walks into a couple front kicks, and then she misses a 1-2. But then they're just a little too short, not finding a target. And then she eats an overhand off of her and an uppercut off of there. Just can't get out of the way quite fast enough. And then she's able to land a straight right, but then she eats a counter cross off of that. So good, fun fight. Both ladies have a lot of activity, but Karine definitely have the grappling advantage. Maria MOROZ plus 130, Karine Silva minus 155. I'm going to give Karine Silva. There wasn't anything special about Maria MOROZ. I know Jennifer Maia is probably tougher than anybody's Karine Silva has fought, but I think Karine Silva, it's her time. She's up and coming. She's finishing these lower level women like she's supposed to, so I think she's got a good shot. The line isn't too crazy. I'm going to go with Karine Silva. We'll see. Maybe she'll prove me wrong. Second fight of the night at women's flyweight. Andrea Lee taking on Natalia Silva. Now, this is a fun one. Natalia Silva is the up-and-coming star at this weight class. So, And then Andrea Lee, you know, she had a big victory a couple fights ago, and she's coming off of 2 tough losses. Her last one really controversial on Maycee Barber, so she's looking to get back on track here. So it should be a fun fight. Both ladies have a lot to prove, and it's only the second fight of the night. Andrea Lee took on Maycee Barber. Her last fight in the first round, she gets pressed with the 1-2, but then she's able to complete the body lock trip right into side control, back on the feet. She's able to land a 1-2, but then she gets countered with an overhand followed by a head kick. Then in the second round, she's able to start landing some 1-2s at range, but then she gets countered with some overhands. But she's able to land her shots whenever they both throw a head kick. She gets hers through. But then she gets pressed. She eats a left cross whenever she's trying to slip the jab. Then she eats a hook, but then she's able to get that snatch single, get the crackdown position right away. Really timely for her. Then in the third round, she gets pressed with some hooks and some body kicks, but then she's able to get the double off of Maycee's hook. And then she's able to, but then she kind of slides off the back. Then she gets doubled off of a knee to the midsection, but then she gets up her back, and she actually eats some ground and pound, but then she's able to pop right back up. She wasn't going to accept it. She knew it was a close fight. Then she gets pressed, and then she gets hit with some throwing her naked leg kicks, but then she's able to complete the body lock trip toward the end of the fight. So, you know, it was back and forth. Maycee Barber got a close decision. What are you going to do? But then Natalia Silva, Natty Ice, she took on Victoria Leonardo, her last fight. In the first round, she's able to land a 1-2 on the outside. But then she lands some check lefts off of her jabs. But then she drops her with the right and left hooks 2 times in a row. So 4-piece combination. And then she's able to land a right cross to a head kick and just gets a TKO. Standing TKO, the ref saw enough. Before that, she took on Theresa Bleda in the first round. She gets clinched to the fence. She tries to go for the wizard kick. But then she's able to reverse the clinch. She tries to go for the trip, and then she's able to get the headlock. She just kind of pulls her right into her. She's thinking about the next move. Then she gets reversed. She gets rolled through, but then she's able to hit the half guard underhook sweep. So really nice. She was looking for her next move. But then she gets put in a triangle armbar situation, but she was able to defend it, but it could have been bad if there was more time left. Then in the second round, she rocks her with the straight right, but then she gets doubled and clinched up against the fence. But then she's able to reverse the clinch situation. And she's able to break free, and then she's able to land a step right hook. She's able to stuff the single leg attempt this time up against the fence. She's able to land a jab and an overhand, and then she pulls her right into the right hook, so she gets her coming into her, bam, set it up perfectly. And there's another round, but, you know, we need to watch all of that. Natalia Silva, minus 305. Andrea Lee, plus 245. This line's really out of whack. I think Natalia Silva might get this fight won, but I'm not going to bet minus 305 on her. Andrea Lee's tough. She's good in all areas. Natalia Silva struggles in the grappling department. Andrea Lee, not a bad grappler. Andrea Lee, she's got some nasty head kicks herself. So I think it's going to be a very close fight. I think it's going to be back and forth. I just don't feel comfortable laying minus 305. So I'm going to go with Andrea Lee. I think she can get it done. She's got more experience. Maybe that'll play factor. I'm going to go with Andrea Lee, plus 245. Can't go wrong on that one. Third fight of the night at 185 pounds men's middleweight. You got Andre Petrosky taking on Gerald Meerschaert. Should be a fun one. Both guys like to grapple. Andre Petrosky took on Wellington Term in his last fight. In the first round, he eats a head kick whenever he's backing straight up. But then he's able to land a counter overhand right off of his jab. And then he's able to land a right over top of Wellington's jab. And then he gets a single, switches to a double. He's able to complete that and pull it off the fence. Big slam. And then he's able to stay around his back standing. Does not want to let him go. And then he lands a jab and a straight left switch stance. But then he eats a couple front kicks at the end. But then in the second round, he's able to land a short left, gets the crackdown. He's able to defend the guillotine, stops the armbar attempt, and then he's able to get around his back, go for a neck crank situation. No hooks in, though. But then he eats a left hook to the body. But then he's able to get a snatch single. Gets put in a guillotine again. This one's a little close, but he's able to get out of it. He actually has to go to his back to get out of it. But then he's able to get back up, gives up his back standing. But then he's able to break free, and then he's able to get another clinch, and then he's able to get a body lock trip. He lands a cross to the body. Cross, like steps in cross. He's able to land some hooks to the body. And then he's able to get his arm around his back to mount position. Whenever he gets the body lock trip. So he kind of had like some sort of chicken wing. Not chicken wing, but he's able to put his right foot in, and then he hooks his arms. It's like a wrestling ride. So he had that. So it was pretty interesting, and he's able to keep the crossroads, keep him down. Then in the third round, he gets a blast double into a front guillotine, and then he pulls it, is able to go into the mount position, switches up half guard. Then he's able to pick him back up, mat return. He keeps the tight waist and grabs that cross wrist and just has his back basically for the entire round. does some ground and pound, keeps busy, hit him with some big shots. Really good stuff there. He wasn't going anywhere. Wellington Tournament was completely tired. And Andre Petrosky looked like he caught a third wind. So that was really good to see. And then Gerald Meerschaert, he took on Joe Pyfer his last fight. In the first round, he kind of leans back out of the way of punches, leaves his chin completely exposed. He's able to throw some front kicks. Then he's able to throw some lunge crosses. But then he gets rocked whenever he's moving in and out. And then he gets hit with a counter off of his jab. And then he gets dropped with some hooks off of a naked body kick, and then he's kind of shells up and gets TKO'd. So, yeah. He was just leaving his chin exposed, and Joe Pyfer hit him with a good one, but, you know. So, pretty vicious knockout, but, you know, we're going to look at a different fight with more data. He took on Bruno Silva before that. In the first round, he throws a step in 1-2, and then he leans back out of the way again. That's what he does. Then he shoots a double whenever he gets pressed, and he's able to get into full guard, posture up, land some ground and pound, and then he looks to go for the darts right at the end there, at least threatens it. Then the second round, he lands a body kick, and then he leans out of the way of the hooks. Then he eats a short right off of a step-in knee with his chin exposed yet again. Then he's able to land a jab to a body kick, but then he gets clipped with the 1-2. When he's looking for the uppercut, whenever he has his back to his fence, throws a pretty nasty uppercut. Doesn't completely land, though. Then in the third round, he gets pressed with some jabs and some crosses, but then he shoots a double, and he's able to defend for the overhand, and then he gets the underhook, but then he's able to he shoots a double, and then he's able to clinch, looks for a knee, and shoots a double, gets the clinch, and then he breaks off, and then he gives him some space, lands a big left hook, and then he's able to just get on him, land a punch, a ground and pound, and Bruno's kind of like seated, and then Gerald goes for the top guillotine, high elbow guillotine, gets a submission. So, yeah, it was pretty good timing from him. He was able to just break out of that clinch and use the wrestling setup to get a knockout. So, threaten the wrestling, get the knockout. Gerald Meerschaert plus 185, Andre Petrosky minus 225. You know, Gerald Meerschaert's no guy to take lightly, but, you know, took a lot of damage his last fight. And Andre Petrosky seems to be getting better every fight. Wellington Tournament is really tough, and he's a solid grappler, and he can catch you in a submission. Andre Petrosky was aware of that. He used his wrestling, and what I liked, he was winning, but he didn't let off the gas in the third round, even though he was tired, and he kept pushing through, and he had really good position in the third round. So I like that. I know Gerald Meerschaert, GM3, gets things done in the third round sometimes, so you got to be careful of that. But I just have a lot of faith in Petrosky. I like his trajectory. I like his improvements. Gerald Meerschaert's going to have to catch him in a submission. That's the only way I see it happening, and Petrosky's going to be aware of that. Minus 225, a little steep, but I like the pure wrestler here. I'm going to go with Andre Petrosky. Fourth fight of the night, we got some The Ultimate Fighter action. We got two finales at 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. Brad Katona going for his second tough title, taking on Cody Gibson. Should be fun. Brad Katona took on Timur Valiev his last fight on tough. In the first round, he shoots, and then he gets the body. He lands a right hook to the head, and then he digs a left hook to the body, and then he throws the overhand, gets a clinch, single, switches off to double, takes it off the fence. Then he kind of slides off his back, but he's all good. But then he eats a head kick, and then he lands a step-in overhand. But then he cuts him off on the cage, jab, right cross combo. And then he clinches, get the 2-on-1 or the Russian tie. Then he lands a hook off the break. But then he gets taken down off of a kick, tries to go for the arm bar. But then he lets him have a backpack, but there wasn't too much time left, and he defended it well. Then in the second round, he lands some soft jabs, but then he's able to land a hook off of his knee. Then he throws the overhand, rips another left to the body. Nice go-to for him. But then he's able to land a step-in hook. He's able to stuff the takedown attempt. Then he stuffs the single, and then he's able to get the clinch. And then he's able to land an elbow off the break, so pretty nasty, and he's looking for that shot. And then he's able to land some counter left hooks off of the jab in the knee. Then he's able to shoot the single to the fence, kind of kill some time there and break the pace up. Then in the third round, he's just kind of eating a lot of leg kicks at range in this round. But then he's able to land a lead left hook, followed up with a 1-2, and then he hurts him with the step-in right cross. But then he walks into a jab, gets taken out the double off the fence, and he gives up his back, but he's able to get back up, and then he's able to shoot the single to the fence again. Then Cody Gibson took on Rico Discolo. In the first round, he gets pressed with the leg kick. He's able to slip the cross, and kind of weird, and then he just hits like a really hard snap down, gets all the way around his back, gets the body triangle, lands a ton of ground and pound, gets a cross wrist. He's able to get the body triangle again, and then he has him flat on his stomach, lands some nasty elbows. Then he kind of slides off. Then he's able to get up to his feet. And then he's in half guard, and he's able to get the arm triangle submission. Arm triangle submission, just gets off to the side. It was up against the fence, so it's hard to finish there, but he was really strong, and there's only short time left, and he got it done. So this dude's nasty, especially in the first round. And then Mando Gutierrez, he's able to stuff the takedown attempt, and then he presses with some jabs and gets the underhook against the fence. And then he's able to press him with the 1-2, and he's looking for the hook or an uppercut inside the pocket. But then he gets kept at bay with some kicks. Then he eats a 1-2 whenever he's coming in, but then he's able to land a jump knee out of nowhere and finish it off with the TKO. So yeah, pretty explosive guy. Two guys that like to go after it. Cody Gibson plus 140, Brad Katona minus 170. I really have no clue. You could flip a coin. Brad Katona might be a little warned, but you know, Cody Gibson, very dangerous in the first round. He might be able to get a first round knockout. I really don't know. I think you could flip a coin. I'm going to go with Cody Gibson. You know what? Screw it. Because it's the Ultimate Fighter finale. And everybody thinks Brad Katona is going to win. He's supposed to win, but I don't know if he's going to win. So, who do I want to go with, dude? I don't know. Cody Gibson. I just don't know what happens. You know what? I'm going to go with Cody Gibson. Plus 140. Why not? Take a shot on the underdog. Fifth fight of the night at 155 pounds. Men's lightweight finale, Kurt Holobaugh taking on Austin Hubbard, returning to the UFC. This could be his ticket back into the show. Kurt Holobaugh took on Jason Knight. In the first round, he rocks him with the 1-2 off of a leg kick. Then after he throws a leg kick, but then he gets clinched. But then he's able to blitz him with some hooks to the body and the head, just really kind of lets him have it. But then he's able to cut him off on the cage. He lands a 1-2 and some crosses, but then he gets clipped with a couple of counter straight shots. But then he eats an overhand, and then a 1-2, though, at the end. But I didn't really do much. He was piecing him up the whole round. He was getting tired, punching him so much. And then in the second round, he lands a cross up against the fence. And he's able to land some tie knees to the head. They're pretty crushing. And then he rocks him with the 1-2. He's able to duck under the hook. And he's able to land a counter hook. But then he gets clipped with a few in return. But then he's able to land a left uppercut to the body. And then he's able to drop him with that. And he gets TKO. So pretty killer. Killer instinct. Then Austin Hubbard took on Roosevelt Roberts his last fight. In the first round, he's able to land a right hook, and he touches him to the body with some leg kicks, but then he eats some jabs in return. Then he's able to land a lunge left cross, and he's looking for the hook. Nobody really lands too much on either guy in the first round. Then in the second round, he's able to duck the jab, and he drives to a single, is able to finish that. In the full guard, he lands some ground and pound, but then he eats a couple punches off Roosevelt off his back. He was going for a submission, I think, or something. Then he's able to eat a cross, but then he eats a cross and he swings his way into the clinch. He eats a couple jabs at range. Then in the third round, he's able to land a cross but his single attempt to get stuffed. And then he clinches him to the fence, but then he gets reversed in with the front headlock situation. And then he gets put in a seated guillotine. But then he's able to work his way back up, but then he gets clinched to the fence. So, I don't know. It's kind of a tough situation, close fight. Austin Hubbard, minus 175. Kurt Holobaugh, plus 145. Yeah, I don't know. Kurt Holobaugh, he's really aggressive, but I don't know all what he has. Austin Hubbard's been in the UFC before. So, I don't know. Kurt Holobaugh, I don't think Jason Knight was really that high level of competition. Roosevelt Roberts, not the highest level of competition, but he's had some fights in the UFC. So I'm going to go with Austin Hubbard. I like it. I think he can get back into the UFC. I don't know. Flip a coin, you know, whatever. I don't really care about this one. Sixth fight of the night at 185 pounds, men's middleweight. Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez makes his return after a devastating knockout, taking on Dennis TIULIULIN. So, should be a fun fight. I'm very excited. Both guys looking to get back on track here. Gregory Rodriguez took on Bruno Ferreira his last fight. In the first round, he eats a cross, but then he's able to land a counter uppercut from the collar tie. And he's able to land a left cross whenever he gets pressed. And he gets dropped with a leg kick. It was something weird that happened. But then he's able to pancake him when he tries to take him down, and then he's able to get around his back, but he gets shucked off, so he can't hold it. But you know, he's got grappling. Then he's able to land a couple step-in right hooks, and then he lands a jab followed up by a cross. But then he gets knocked out with a short left hook out of nowhere. One punch knocks him out. He's got a glass chin. I'm sorry. It's like the real RoboCop. His chin is his weakness. so it sucks. But then Dennis TIULIULIN took on Jung Young Park his last fight in the first round. He's able to dig a left hook to the body, but then he gets body locked off of the fence. But he's able to land a step in. Off of his step in right, and then he gets put in a full mount. He eats some ground and pound, gets submitted with the rear naked choke. It was pretty violent. But before that, he had a good win over Jamie Pickett. In the first round, he eats a step in overhand, but he's able to land a counter right off of his kick, and then follows it up with a counter left. Then he's able to stuff the double on the fence. He's able to defend the clinch attempts, and then he cuts him off the fence with a hook flurry, and he's able to land a cross, but then he gets clipped with some counters. He's able to land a body kick, and then blitzes forward. So, yeah. And just kind of unloads on him on the fence, waiting for his opportunity. Dennis TIULIULIN plus 280. Greg Rodriguez minus 355. I'm going to go with Gregory Rodriguez. Gregory Rodriguez beat Jung Young Park. Dennis TIULIULin, you know, he kind of melts, I guess. He can. And Gregory Rodriguez can put paces on guys that hit him with big shots. And if he has to, Gregory Rodriguez can grapple a little bit. I think he could get him to the ground if he wanted to. Maybe that's his game plan because he doesn't want to get knocked out again. But I don't think Dennis TIULIULin even really has knockout power. He couldn't knock out Jimmy Pickett. Minus 355 is a lot for RoboCop, but I like him. You want to go RoboCop by knockout or submission? Could be, but I'm going to go Gregory Rodriguez. And Gregory Rodriguez by knockout is going to be a solid price. Let me see if I can get it. It is going to be plus 110. Not bad. Basically even money. I think he's going to get it done. Maybe even in the first round. Juice it up. I'm going to go with RoboCop. Main event of the prelims at 185 pounds men's middleweight. The return of Chris Yellow American Weidman taking on Brad Tavares. Chris Weidman snapped his leg a few years ago in the Uriah Hall fight. And, you know, he's been off a while. We just want to see if he can make it back or not. Brad Tavares is the perfect opponent. Both of these guys need a win. Brad Tavares hanging around the top 20. Does he still have it? Does Chris Weidman have anything left? Is his leg going to get snapped 1 second into the fight? I hope not. We'll see what happens. Should be an interesting fight. Both guys need a good win here. They should be fighting their hearts out. Chris Weidman took on Maryak Madoff before Uriah Hall. In the first round, he gets a single to the fence, and then he starts popping his jab, starts faking the level changes, gets him guessing. But then he eats a hook to the body, and then he gets clinched. And he eats a jab from there, from the pocket, but he's able to land a 1-2 in the pocket, but then he eats a couple in return, but he's able to land a jab, gets a single, picks it up, classic trip takedown right into half guard, and then he's able to keep him down. You know, he can get him out return or two if he has to. Then in the second round, he gets pressed with the hook, and he gets doubled off the fence. He gives up his back to get up, but he's able to get out. He lands a jab, but then he eats a couple hooks to the body, countered, but then he eats some jabs and some hooks whenever he's pressing forward, and then he gets taken out with the double. He kind of walks right into it, so interesting. But then in the third round, he really turns it up. He's able to duck the hook, and he's able to get a double off the fence. Big slam. Then he gets a mat return. He gets one hook in. Goes for it's like a spladle or a Salive stretch. It's more like a spladle. So I don't know what that was about. But then he's able to mount him. Threatens the arm triangle. Just rains down some hellacious elbows. And gets a very dominant victory in the third round. So, yeah. He looked really good in the third round. Took him a little bit to get going. Second round's a little sloppy, but he turned it up, man. So he got cardio. Brad Tavares took on Bruno Silva his last fight. In the first round, he throws a cross, and he's able to land a left hook in the pocket. But then he lands some jabs, but then he eats a jab. He's able to land a 1-2, though. But then he gets rocked with a right hook off of his lunge straight, just kind of overextends himself. But then he's able to return a 1-2. But then he eats an overhand, but he's able to land a looping hook to the body. But then he lands a hook, but then he gets dropped with the right cross, and then he gets TKO'd. So it happens, dude. I don't know. I thought it was an early stoppage, but, you know, Bruno swarmed him, so. But before that, he took on Dricus Du Plessis. In the first round, he lands a short hook off of a blitz. He's able to defend the single leg against the fence. He's able to stuff the lateral drop attempt and get on top of him. So, you know, he's pretty, you know, he can grapple. He can reverse positions. And then he's able to get half guard. Doesn't do a whole lot with it, but then back on his feet, he's able to slip the blitz. And then he rocks him with a hook. Nice one when Du Plessis is running into him, and then he's able to stuff another single leg attempt. So, yeah, he can defend wrestling, and he can grapple a little bit. Brad Tavares, minus 250. Chris Weidman, plus 205. I don't know if it's flip a coin, but, you know, it's all depending on is Chris Weidman's leg going to hold up. I think so. I've never seen a UFC fighter come back from a catastrophic injury and it doesn't hold up in the next fight. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think he'll be fine, you know. I don't think the mental aspect will be that. It might be. I don't know. But I think he'll be okay, dude. I think he's going to shoot for takedowns. Once he can get a takedown or two, I think we'll be all good. And Brad Tavares, not really the biggest knockout threat. He has one knockout in his whole UFC career. So, you know, I think it's a perfectly winnable fight for Chris Weidman. And, you know, Brad Tavares took some damage in the last fight. So, I'm going to go with Chris Weidman plus 205. That's where I'm taking him. But I think that's a good price. First fight of the main card at 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. Marlon Chito Vera, number 6, taking on Pedro the Punisher Munoz, number 10. Both guys need a win here. Pedro Munoz trying to show the weight class in the world that he can still do this. Chito Vera trying to show people that he had a setback against Corey Sandhagen. No shame in that. And he can make a title run. So, and if Sean O'Malley happens to win the title tonight, then Marlon Vera and Sean O'Malley, it writes itself. Chito Vera took on Corey Sandhagen, but I didn't really learn too much from that fight. Corey Sandhagen has kind of shut him down. But before that, he took on Dominic Cruz. I thought he showed a lot of good aspects of his game. In the first round, he gets pressed with some blitzes. Then he's able to drop Dominic with the left cross off of a leg kick. But then he eats a 1-2. And then a blitz and a head kick standing at range, like right away. So he drops him, but it didn't like hurt him that bad. Then he misses the double jab and a cross. And then he gets blitzed, gets taken down with the double off of a leg kick. Tries to go for the triangle armbar. Can't really get it, but at least he's threatening that. So I like seeing that. Then the second round, he eats a leg kick and a cross whenever he's standing at range. But then he's able to throw the 1-2, and he's able to land a front kick to the face. It didn't knock him out, though. But then he eats a straight off of his looping hook. But then he's able to land a counter right hook in the pocket off of Dominic's 1-2. And then he starts pressuring forward. And then he's able to stuff another double leg attempt. And then in the third round, he eats a leg kick and a hook and a blitz. But then he's able to land a counter overhand. And then he's able to drop him with a double jab cross. Then he's able to stuff the single leg attempt on the fence, land a couple of nasty elbows. So, yeah, he's with it. And then Pedro Munoz took on Chris Gutierrez his last fight. In the first round, he throws a jab, and he's able to slide in jab, and then he drops him with the left hook. He's looking for the knee bar. Can't really get it, though. But then he pressures him, walks him down. He walks into a couple of jabs. But then in the second round, he lands some leg kicks and some body kicks, and he's able to land a lunge overhand. Nobody's really doing much this second round, honestly. Chris Gutierrez looked like he was kind of shut off for the night. But then in the third round, he pressures with a straight left, but then he eats some jabs whenever he's walking into him. Then he eats a jab off for the front kick and a back fist. Then he presses through some jabs. He's able to land a hook. So, not a ton happened. They're both kind of out of each other's ranges, but you know, Pedro's active the whole fight. He was pressuring forward the whole fight. Pedro Munoz plus 155. Chito Vera minus 185. You know, Pedro Munoz could definitely win this fight, but if Chito Vera lost all his mojo, I don't think he has. I think Chito Vera learned a lot. I think he has to start fast. He has to get going in the fight faster. Chito Vera, you know, quantity over quality. He can land big shots. He can hurt guys. And you know, Pedro Munoz is not really going to be a takedown threat, and if he is, like, Chito will be able to get up or throw up a submission. I think Chito's going to be able to land some of the bigger shots and hurt him or keep Pedro backed off of him. I think maybe he can make Pedro hesitate. But, you know, Pedro might be able to just pick him apart with some leg kicks at range, but I think Chito knows what he needs to do, and I think he's hungry to get back for a win. Minus 185, not terrible. But I probably don't see him getting a finish just because Pedro hasn't ever been finished. But it might be another Rob Font situation. But I think Chito, you know, I think he gets it done. Pedro Munoz kind of fell off, unfortunately. And, you know, Chris Gutierrez just was not on his game that night. I'm going to go with Chito Vera. Chito Vera by decision minus 105. Or you want to go, or knockout plus 400. I'm going to pick decision. I think that's what's going to happen. But Chito Vera minus 185, not a bad pick. Second fight on the main card at 135 pounds, men's bantamweight yet again. Damone Blackshear taking this fight on 1 week's notice, taking on Mario Bautista. Mario Bautista, he's like right on the precipice of the rankings. He was supposed to take on Cody Garbrandt. Damone Blackshear, if he wins this fight, it'll be a big jump up for him. And, you know, he'll be a name people will remember, and he'll probably be one away from the rankings. So both guys trying to get in the rankings here, 2 up-and-comers. Should be fun. Both coming into their own. Blackshear took on Jose Johnson his last fight. In the first round, he lands an uppercut and a hook in the pocket, but then he eats a straight shot, but he's able to duck and he's able to ducks the straight shot, and then he's able to get a single leg trip, and he's able to get a couple of mat returns, and then he takes his back, he gets one hook in, then he sets up a freaking twister submission. So, yeah, third one in UFC history. So this guy is special. Before that, he took on MOROZ in the first round. He lands a front kick, but then he eats a hook in the clinch. But then he's able to get a hook, clinch to the fence, and then he hits a pass by, gets around the back. He's able to stuff the leg roll attempt, which is, and then he kind of gets caught in a knee bar, but he's able to defend it pretty well, keeps his cool. He's able to land some hooks in the pocket. He's able to land some jabs at range, and then he gets a single, like a single slide where he like sidesteps and picks it up, trips him. Don't really see that too often. But then he backs up. He's able to land some jabs, and then he lands a lead uppercut and then a right cross. And that goes to another round. He gets a finish, but I don't want to watch all that. I think I got the gist of it. And then Mario Bautista took on Guido Canetti, his last fight. In the first round, he lands some jabs, and he gets a single off the fence. Cross faces him to get into half guard. Really, this guy's really nasty on the ground. He's able to land from front headlock. Pulls the front head because he's kind of going for a top guillotine, but then he gets tripped, inside trip and taken down, but then he's able to grab a single leg, come out the back, finish it with a double big slam, and then he's able to get the body triangle. Then they get into a backpack situation. He's able to work that rear naked choke in while they're both on their feet, and then he pulls it back to the mat and gets a nasty submission. So, yeah, he's for real. Then before that, he took on Benito Lopez. In the first round, he lands some leg kicks, rips the body. He lands an overhand, followed up with the left hook. Then he kind of feints the jabs, and he really rips the body up against the fence. And then he lands a 1-2, gets a big double leg off the fence, right into half guard, postures up, lands some nasty ground and pound. And then he goes to mount, and then he works the crucifix with a straight arm lock. Can't get it. Then he goes to a reverse triangle / armbar situation, elbows him in the top of the head. And then he's able to pull the armbar, gets a nasty submission with short time left. So both of these guys have a lot of potential. I've been impressed by both their last fights. They both come to fight. They both like to get finishes. This should be a violent fight. Mario Bautista -205, Damone Blackshear +170. I think I'm going to go with Damone Blackshear simply because I think both guys are on similar skill levels. And I know Damone's coming off a week's notice, but sometimes those guys get it done. I can't explain it, but they have the hype. Maybe it's a good thing he fought a week ago, but -205 for Mario Bautista. I just really don't see a reason. Damone Blackshear is on the rise, just like Mario Bautista is. And Mario Bautista, what happens if he goes to the second round? He's okay. He's done it before, but, you know, he's used to getting first-round finishes. And Damone Blackshear finishes early, too, but I think he can, I think he has, actually, both guys are pretty good at wrestling, so, yeah, I don't know. We'll just see. We'll just see, man. I think Mario Bautista just kind of fades as the fight goes on, more so than Damone Blackshear would for whatever reason. Mario Bautista throws a lot of power, a lot of aggression into all of his shots. I'm going to go with Damone Blackshear +170. I think it's a good dog spot, but it should be a very fun fight regardless. Feature fight of the night at 170 pounds, men's welterweight. Neil the Gazelle Magny, number 11, taking on Ian Garry. Ian Garry has had a meteoric rise, kind of like Conor McGregor. Some people think he's Conor McGregor. He thinks he's Conor McGregor. Ian Garry sitting at number 13. It's a big fight for either guy. Neil Magny, he wants to show people he's still that guy. He can still hang around this weight class and be a gatekeeper to the top 10. Ian Garry looks like he wants to go all the way to the top early on. He was supposed to fight Jeff Neal, and I think this is a good replacement. I think Jeff Neal might have been a tough fight for him. Jeff Neal hits really hard. But I think it's more winnable, but I think Neil Magny's definitely a tough fight as well. You know, he's no slouch, and if you're not ready for him, he'll take you out. That's what he does to these up-and-coming guys. So if Ian Garry can get past Neil Magny, he will be ready for the top 10, and he can put on a good run. Neil Magny took on Philip Rowe his last fight. In the first round, he reverses the clinch up against the fence. He hits a pass by, gets around the back, and they both kind of reverse each other in the clinch. Not a whole lot happening. But then he eats a straight right off of his jab. It's a little too short. But then he's able to land an overhand blitz off of a leg kick, and it keeps pressuring him. And then Neil Magny, as the fight goes on, pressure. By third round, he's winning. Then the second round, he gets pressured with a jump knee, but he gives up the underhook, and then the single leg trip, and he gives up the backpack. But he's cool, keeps his calm, and he's able to break the lock and get out. Then he's able to land a 1-2 off the break, and then he clinches. Then he pulls the tie knees to the body. and really lets it go, just really trying to score points within the last 10 seconds. You know, he knows how to do this. He knows how to win the rounds. Then in the third round, he lands a lead hook from the collar tie, and then he lands some hooks. Then he gets a collar tie to gets the overhook, and then just pushes him all the way to the fence pretty much. But then he eats an uppercut whenever he's clinching. And, you know, third round was a little close. But I thought Neil Magny had more activity, and he was winning the clinch situation. So Ian Garry took on Daniel Rodriguez his last fight, who knew Magny also fought and submitted. But then in the first round, he lands a jab whenever he gets pressed, and he's able to land a body kick at range, and he kind of circles along the outside. Then he's able to land a body kick on the break, presses forward, lands a hook, and then he drops him with the head kick at range, TKO, via ground and pound. And he threw that body kick a couple times. When he went to throw it again, D-Rod thought it was a body kick, tried to parry it. Boom, comes up top of the head. So the guy's smart, the guy's learning, and he didn't get dropped like he did when he took on Song Kanon. In the first round of that fight, he lands some leg kicks at range, and he's looking for some slide-in jabs and some 1-2s. Then he lands a 1-2 leg kick, some step-in jabs, followed up with a left uppercut to the body, but then he gets dropped because he leaves that side of his body exposed, gets dropped with a left hook. And Song Kanon, for whatever reason, decided to clinch and not break away and punch the shit out of him. So Ian Garry caught a little bit of a break, but he is tough, and he gutted it out. So got to give him that, so we know he can take punishment. Ian Garry is minus 485. Neil Magny plus 370. I wanted to bet Neil Magny so bad, but realistically, I just don't think he's going to win. He can for sure, but, you know, we've seen Neil Magny get dropped before. Ian Garry, we didn't know if he had a ton of power, but he does. And those head kicks are nasty, and he's getting better each fight, and he can switch things up, and he can set traps. And Neil Magny's coming in short notice, and he fought not too long ago, a 3-round fight, and this line is insane. And I want to bet Neil Magny so bad, but realistically, I think Ian Garry is going to win somehow, some way. I think he probably will knock him out, and if he doesn't, he's going to do a lot more damage. Neil Magny seems like he's just barely winning. I think Ian Garry would be able to break the clinch attempts and just stay at range and piece him up. And I don't think Neil Magny's going to get to touch him. So Ian Garry minus 485. The whole fight to go under 2.5 rounds, minus 135. Ian Garry by knockout, plus 100. You know, seems simple. It might be Ian Garry by submission. I don't know, but I just picture KO for some reason. So I'm going to go with Ian Garry on this one, but we'll see. Co-main event of the evening at 115 pounds, women's strawweight, Zhang Weili taking on Amanda Lemos, number 5, for the strap. Zhang Weili took on Carla Esparza her last fight. In the first round, she lands some inside leg kicks, but then she walks into a jab. Then she lands a jab, lands some head kicks. Where her head kicks are a little short, but she's kind of clipping them. But then she's able to throw a lead hook, and she's able to land a straight right. And then she lands 2 head kicks in a row up against the fence. She gives up the single, but then she's able to get around the back, scrambles, but then she gets reversed. But then she's able to escape. So she can grapple a little bit. Then she gives up the single again, but then she kind of limp legs out of it, spins around the back, takes the back for the end of the round. So then in the second round, she lands a head kick and then a front kick. And she's able to stuff the single leg attempt, and then she gets a crucifix around the back, and then she gets a rear naked choke submission from a back crucifix. Never seen that one before. Zhang Weili does that. So she looks really good. She stuffed the wrestling attempts, and she showed she got power, and she showed she got submissions. So what else do you want, man? She's getting a lot better. She's had 2 amazing performances back-to-back. Then Amanda Lemos took on Marina Rodriguez, her last fight in the first round. She lands some counter hook, and she gets a body lock. She tries to go for the trip. It gets stuffed. Nothing happens in this entire first round. Then in the second round, she gets a body lock to the fence. She's able to hit a foot sweep and then gets a pass by, takes the back, goes for a rear naked choke attempt. And then she's able to transition into half guard, keeps the position, doesn't waste it, doesn't just let her up. So she's really good at utilizing her energy on the ground and focusing her weight to make sure that she's keeping them down. She's making her takedowns count. In the third round, she lands the overhand and then jab at range, and then she rocks her with the overhand right, and then she hits her with the left hook, a flurry, and gets a TKO. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Marina Rodriguez was knocked out. It was close, but, you know, they stopped it standing. So, but yeah, she's got power. So, you know, she's a live contender for sure. Amanda Lemos plus 250, Zhang Weili minus 310. I'm going to go Zhang Weili. I don't know. I really haven't done like a lot of thinking about this fight, to be honest. It kind of flew under the radar for me. Amanda Lemos like isn't like the #1 pick to fight for the title right now, but she does not deserve it. But it just, you know, I just think Zhang Wei is gonna win. I think she's getting better each fight. I think she'll be able to neutralize the wrestling, not get caught in any submissions. I think Zhang Wei's probably a little bit cleaner of a striker. And they both got power, but I think Amanda Lemos has that more crazy, chaotic one-punch knockout power. So Amanda Lemos is dangerous. Zhang's got to be careful. I just don't see a reason to bet against Zhang at this point. Basically, it's a little steep of a line. But the fight to go over 3.5 rounds, plus 150. I don't know. But I'm going to go with Zhang. We'll see. I think it might be a weird fight. I don't know. Main event of the evening at 135 pounds, men's bantamweight for the strap. Aljamain Funkmaster, Aljamain Backpack Sterling taking on Sugar Sean O'Malley. O'Malley, the #2 contender, right behind Merab Dvalishvili. And, yeah, it's been a highly anticipated matchup. They've been wanting this fight for a while, but Henry Cejudo got in the way. But Aljamain Sterling, pretty quick turnaround from him. He fought Henry in May, so for a championship fight, when he just won 5 rounds, pretty quick turnaround. So Aljamain is a gangster. If he can pull this off, it'll be very impressive. I think you have to give him the best bantamweight ever title. If he gets this done, that'll be 4 defenses. So, yeah. And Sean O'Malley, man, like people kind of forgot about him. Not forgot about him, but just the hype kind of died down because he beat Peter Yan all the way back in October. And Peter Yan's lost twice in that, he's lost one more time in that fight, excuse me. So that fight, that win isn't like as good. Like it's not worth as much. So I don't know, but we'll see, man. Sean O'Malley might just kind of wake everybody up and surprise everybody. You got a classic wrestler versus striker. Aljamain's striking's been getting better, but, you know, Sean O'Malley's is way better, but Aljamain Sterling, way better on the ground. Sean O'Malley said he's got great submissions. I've never seen him, so I'm interested to see what happens. Aljamain Sterling took on Henry Cejudo his last fight in the first round. He pressures with some overhands and some hooks. But he gets taken out with the body lock trip off of a jump knee, but he's able to get back up. But then he presses forward with some jabs to the head and the body, and then he's able to hit a peek out from the front headlock, and then he's able to kick him in the side, and then he gets a trip off the fence. And then he gets one hook in around the back for like the last 20 seconds, I believe it was. So, yeah. And then in the second round, he walks into a cross and a leg kick, but then he's able to return with the cross, and then he eats a head kick at range, but then he eats a left hook, and then he kind of moves in and out with some leg kicks and jabs. So, staying moving. He's not walking into a takedown, and he's not standing there and slugging with Henry. But then he lands a stepping cross and he's clipped with some hooks. But then he's able to duck under the hook. But then he eats a head kick when he comes back up. But then he gets pressed with the leg kick and eats a hook on the inside. Then in the third round, he eats a jump knee. His takedown attempt gets stuffed though. He's kind of shooting straight on doubles. And Henry Cejudo is an Olympic champion. But then he lands an over-under, gets a body lock to the fence, and he's able to get the outside trip takedown. Can't do a whole lot with it, though, but he took down Henry Cejudo. That's impressive. Then he lands a 1-2, and then he shoots a double, but it gets stuffed. Then he gets taken down with an inside trip. Then in the fourth round, he gets pressed with a cross wherever he's circling. But then he eats a 1-2 off of a leg kick, and then he gets clinched. Then he lands some jabs whenever he's backing up. Then he hits a peek out, and he gets into a cradle position, and then he gets a double leg takedown off the whenever Henry Cejudo like has him in a cradle, hits him peek out. So he's very flexible, and you know he's always scrambling. Gets a double off the fence. So if they get into any type of grappling situation with O'Malley, should be interesting. And then in the fifth round, he eats a cross off the fence, but then he gets pulled in with the tie clinch, eats a couple knees, and yeah, he gets taken down at the end there, but you know it didn't really matter. I mean, Sean O'Malley's not going to take this guy down, so yeah. And then Sean O'Malley took on Peter Yan all the way back in October. In the first round, he throws some jabs all around the outside, and then he eats some body and some leg kicks, but then he gives up the clinch, and he has his back to the fence, but he's able to break the lock. Then he gets cut off on the fence again, then he eats some hooks, and he gets doubled off the fence, but then he's able to push off of him and get back up to his feet. So, you know, I think he'll be competent on the ground. I don't think Audrey's just going to ragdoll him, but he just can't let him get his back. But then he's able to land some 1-2s whenever he's going back. He gets a double leg takedown. Double leg to like a duck under. Like, he took down Peter Yan. Then in the second round, he rocks him with the switch stance. He lands a left cross, then an overhand, but then he gets rocked right back with the 1-2, and then he gets drugged down on the mat right into full guard. But he's able to minimize the damage. Then he's able to get back to his feet. He's able to get his back, gives up his back standing, but then he's able to get the underhook. And he's able to get free, so he knows what to do up against the fence. But then he gets pressed with the kick, and he eats some hooks on the fence, but then he's able to land a counter overhand whenever Jan's pressing him. But then he gets doubled off the fence after that. But then in the third round, he starts pumping some jabs, but then he gets singled to the fence, but he's able to defend the single leg, and he lands a knee and then a left hook, and then he's able to land a head kick, and then he lands an overhand, but then he eats a big counter hook and another head kick, though. Then he has good defense, but then he gets doubled off the he puts up a good fight, but then he gets doubled off the fence, but then he's able to escape eventually because he knows it's a close fight and he wants to get this win. But then he eats a counter hook off of his jab, but then he kind of Granby rolls out of a double, and he just keeps moving the whole fight, and it's pretty back and forth. But and then Jan's able to get like a takedown at the end. So, but yeah. Sean O'Malley plus 215, Aljamain Sterling minus 265. Tell me why I feel like Sean O'Malley's going to win this fight no matter what happens. I don't know. Aljamain Sterling gets hit. Henry Cejudo hit him a little too much for my liking. But, Sean O'Malley, I think, Aljamain's obviously going to try to wrestle. He's going to try to get his backpack situation. And Sean O'Malley, he's competent on the ground. I believe that. And I don't think Aljamain's going to be able to ragdoll him like people think he is. I think there's going to be a lot of this fight on the feet. And I think Sean O'Malley clearly has the advantage. He's got the reach. And, I've seen Aljamain leave himself open whenever he's throwing his strikes, whenever he's walking him down. He leaves his chin exposed. I think Sean O'Malley can clip him. Only going to take one or two big shots from O'Malley. It's not like O'Malley has, crazy one-punch knockout power, but he did crack Jan with some big shots. Jan wasn't knocked out, but it hurt him. So I think it could go back and forth. I like the odds on this, and for whatever reason, I just feel like O'Malley's going to just spoil the party. Aljamain wants to go up to 145. I just don't know, and I just have a feeling that Sean O'Malley's going to win. I do believe he has the tools to win. I think people are kind of second-guessing him, so I'm going to go with Sean O'Malley just because. Plus 215. I think he can stuff the take. Well, he's going to get taken down, but I think he can stuff enough of the takedowns for certain periods of time and land some big shots. But here's the thing. Sean O'Malley by decision or Sean O'Malley by submission plus 1,800 for some reason. I don't know. Maybe we'll see a submission. Maybe we'll shock the world. Maybe it's overhyped, but I'm going to go with Sean O'Malley plus 215. But I can't wait. All right, everybody, thanks for riding with me. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that stuff. Leave a comment down below. Let me know how you're doing. Ask me questions. Give me advice. I'm here for it. Finally had a good week last week. We're going to keep it rolling. Get a perfect card this week. At least be profitable. So I'm excited. It should be a great card. I think I made some good picks. Let's see some upsets. Let's see some violence. And let's see some profits. Good luck, everyone.